Welcome to the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Morgan, and today I wanted to do a Love is Blind episode, but I know I said this last time. I need to wait for the reunion. So I got to watch the reunion and then we'll do a full recap on Monday. Okay, so be patient. I will get a full recap. We'll talk about every couple, but more importantly, what are the lessons that we can learn from each couple? So if you've been following this season, I feel like there's more controversy off of the screen than there is on the screen. It's an interesting season. So we'll unpack that on Monday. You will get value from it, whether you are a Love is Blind fan or not. So get excited about that episode. And then this Friday, on Halloween, I'm doing a bonus episode. I'm so excited. I have an incredible guest. It's my dear friend who I know you are going to love learning from her. She's an absolute gem. So do not miss that episode Friday. We're talking all things manifestation, more importantly, identity shifting. Identity shifting, what does that actually mean? How do we do it? And I just know that you're going to love that episode. So that's coming out Friday. And then for today, this is highly requested. Sometimes I do some research for these episodes and I go to places like Reddit because I know Reddit is where people are pouring their hearts out. They want the answers. There's a lot of really great, vulnerable questions coming up in Reddit. And this was the theme that I saw the most. It was talking about what do I do when I am with someone who has avoidant attachment style? So the title of this episode, Help, I'm Dating an Avoidant. That is using the language that I see in Reddit. I don't like to label people as an avoidant or an anxious or a disorganized. It's not your identity. It's your attachment style, right? So I would prefer someone with avoidant attachment style. But I know in your language, you probably said things like, oh my God, I think I'm dating an avoidant. And we're going to go through what do you do when that happens? I'm going to give you a step by step, play by play. This is what I want you to consider when you are dating somebody with avoidant attachment style. So this will be a really helpful episode. Here's the deal. If you have anxious attachment, you are attracted to avoidantly attached people. If you were in a room with 99 secure people and one avoidantly attached person, you would be drawn to the avoidantly attached person. That's just how strong our attachment dynamics are. It's like a moth to the flame. So I know that if you have anxious attachment, this will for sure be an episode that you need. The other attachment styles, avoidant attachment, secure, and disorganized style also find themselves dating people with avoidant attachment. So no matter what your style is, you've probably dated somebody who has avoidant attachment style, or you are that person that has avoidant attachment. So this will be a helpful episode to you no matter where you are. And I want to start off with step number one. Okay, we're going to go through step by step. How do we know someone has avoidant attachment? What are the signs? Okay. One of the things I want to start off with is just communication, right? Especially early stages of dating, communication is key. That's how we're building trust. That's how we're getting to know someone. So the first sign that somebody has avoidant attachment, they're inconsistent in their communication. They text you consistently, maybe for a couple of days, but then all of a sudden they're taking 3 days to respond. They're taking 4 days to respond. Maybe you hear from them and they say, yeah, we should go out again. But then there's not that effort to plan. Oh, what are we doing? When are we going out? The communication is lacking. And when you're dating, communication is everything, right? I think about you are gathering data to learn. Can I build a secure attachment with this person? So communication is huge. When I don't know you, when I'm just getting to know you, If you're falling off communication wise, that is a major sign that there could be avoidant attachment. What else? When conflict arises, if there's any kind of conflict, they shut down. In early stages of dating, this could look like, oh, you were supposed to go on a date, but then you came down with the flu and now you can't make the dinner date that they had planned. And instead of talking about it with you, instead of rescheduling, they shut down and they don't communicate, right? That's one example of quote unquote conflict. Maybe they are taking it as rejection, making it mean something. And instead of talking with you about it, they're shutting down. You're saying, oh, that's fine. We'll go out again another time. And then you don't hear from them. Another sign of avoidant attachment style, a lot of humor of either putting themselves down or putting you down or putting other people down. I see this a lot. This isn't like commonly talked about, but I think with avoidant attachment style, I see humor as coping. And of course, this can happen with anxious as well. But there's something about the sarcastic humor, saying those things that they're kind of hurtful. It's those jokes where you go, is this a joke or is this real? Because if they're really meaning what they're saying, it's actually hurtful. And I see this a lot as a distancing strategy. So when you're thinking about, oh, is this person avoidantly attached? Ask yourself, do they do a lot of things that cause some distancing in the connection? Meaning the intimacy isn't growing, we're pulling away from each other, there's more space, there's more distancing, right? I think that's a really important sign. And one of the things can be sarcastic humor. We call this a devaluing, right? If somebody is making jokes about, like, I don't know why this is coming to mind, but like, oh, you're so short and maybe you should get shoes that give you an extra couple inches. I don't know, but things like that where it's kind of mean, that's a distancing strategy. Also a sign of avoidant attachment, downplaying of emotions, okay? So if they're saying things like, you're overreacting, I don't want to talk about this, or they're simply not responding to you when it's something about emotions, that's another sign of avoidant attachment. I could go on, and I actually do have whole episodes that talk about this, but that's the first thing. Let's make sure that, okay, yeah, this person is avoidantly attached. I will say this, sometimes if we have anxious attachment, we may experience someone with secure attachment as being avoidant. That's because when we have anxious attachment, our investment into relationships is on hyper speed. We will not pace the emotional investment. We're wanting to throw all of our eggs into that relationship basket. We go really, really quickly with emotional investment. So when you have anxious attachment, even somebody with secure attachment style, you might be mislabeling them as avoidantly attached. I think that's an important thing to note. Um, Another sign of avoidant attachment, and then let's move on once you know for sure that, okay, you are dating somebody with this attachment style. We'll move on and talk about that. But I think really asking yourself, how do I feel in this person's presence? Do I feel emotionally safe? Or do I feel like I'm walking on eggshells? Do I feel like I have to filter myself? Do I feel like, oh, I don't actually want to share that difficult emotion. I just want to keep the vibe high. I just want to, keep it surface level, make sure that we keep laughing together. I don't want to share the things that I'm struggling with, right? That's a sign often of lack of emotional availability. Our nervous systems, our attachment systems can feel when that person is not emotionally available. And then oftentimes we start downplaying our own emotional experience. And then somebody with avoidant attachment, they're pros. They are pros at downplaying their own emotional experience. So maybe they talk about having a tough day at work, but they're not going into how it made them feel emotionally. They're talking about, well, this order was late and then that person didn't respond to my email, and they're just giving you the play by play. They're not saying, and it was really hard and I felt really upset. They're not talking about their emotional experience. So an overall disconnection from emotional experience and that uncomfortable lack of emotional availability, that when you're honest with yourself, you realize, oh, I don't feel comfortable to share my emotions, to share my full experience in the presence of this person. Okay. So those are some really important signs. Okay. This person may have avoidant attachment style. Once we know that, yes, they likely do, and please, early stages of dating, do not make the mistake of gifting them attached or gifting them even my book, Love Magnet, that goes in depth about attachment styles, or sending them a podcast episode of mine. Do not do the thing where you are, quote unquote, diagnosing them, trying to fix it. Not in the early stages, okay? You're gathering the data, but you're keeping the data to yourself. And I want to talk about, what do we do once we realize, oh, I think this person may have avoidant attachment style. Step number 1, regulate your own emotions first. Without even realizing it, if you are dating someone with avoidant attachment style, you have probably become emotionally dysregulated or a bit emotionally shut down. This is why this step is so important. It's time to check in with you. We need to move you back to an emotionally regulated place, an empowered place, so that you can move yourself back to a grounded, clear, securely attached place, right? And now here's the deal. This is where a lot of people get stuck because they haven't done the work to be able to do that on their own. This is where I come in. This is where things like the Empowered, Secure, Loved program come in, because this is so key. You need to be able to, no matter what's going on in your relationship life or the triggers in a relationship or your dating life, you need to be able to move yourself back to secure attachment. So many of you, and this was me, you don't even know what that is. You've never experienced that before. You didn't have relationship models that were securely attached, and you're carrying around so much relational trauma. So it makes it nearly impossible to move yourself back to secure on a good day, let alone when you are in a relationship. So this is where I want you to think about, oh, can I move myself back to secure attachment, right? That's the first step. Because when you are dating that person, and this is with any insecure attachment dynamic, right? When you're dating that person and the insecure dynamics are coming up, whether it's avoidant, anxious, avoidant, disorganized, whatever pairing of insecure dynamics, when that is happening, both people are experiencing wounds being poked, right? It's like those woundings are coming up again. And it's all about, how can you deal with it? How can you intentionally respond instead of react, instead of default to the insecure attachment spiral, right? So it's all about, how do you move yourself back to secure? Okay, step number 2. This is a really important step. I want you to get very clear on what are your non-negotiables and your standards for a partnership. And to me, I use the word non-negotiables and standards. I use that in the sense of really clear on, how do you want to feel in your ideal relationship? Sure, you could focus on external things. You could say, well, they need to be making at least $150,000 a year. By all means, yes. But what you're actually telling me when you say that, do you know what you're telling me? You want to feel financially secure. So, all of those things you come up with on your partner checklist, they're all about how you want to feel because you think if the person has those things that then you'll feel a certain way. So, the better question instead of that checklist that has 27 different things on it is drilling down what are the core emotional things that you want to feel in your ideal relationship. Okay. So maybe it's you want to feel emotionally safe. You want to feel financially secure. You want to feel like you have a best friend. So, this sense of reliability, someone who does what they say they're going to do, trust. You want to feel like you fully trust yourself and you fully trust this other person. So, this is important, right? I'm not molding my standards and non negotiables around the person. I'm getting clear on those things before I'm even thinking about talking to that person or comparing it to the person that I'm dating, right? So get clear on standards, non negotiables, exactly how you want to feel in your ideal relationship. And then the next thing I want you to do is assess the situation. I want you to ask yourself, does this person have capacity for a healthy relationship? Capacity is not desire. Capacity is not, "Oh, but they really want to be in a relationship." Capacity is this person emotionally available? Can they show up in the ways that I would need in order to feel like I'm in a healthy, loving, reciprocal, securely attached relationship? So we're asking ourselves about, do they have capacity for a healthy relationship? This is a really important next question. This is gold, okay? I want you to think about this. Is this person open to feedback? Can I be emotionally safe enough? Have they given me the data that they're open to feedback? Okay. And then and I'll talk more about that. But then the third question, have they taken accountability? Have they shown that they're open to growth? Have they shown that they're open to growth? Okay. And there's little ways that we can sense this, right? If somebody's super rigid, if you're on your third date and they're telling you that they think therapy is for crazy people, that nobody should go to therapy, or if they're telling you that they don't really believe in attachment styles and love languages. These are extreme examples, but these things can happen, right? If somebody is blatantly telling you that they're not open to self awareness, they're not open to growth, that they're very rigid, it's highly unlikely that it's worth your time to give them feedback. But let's talk about this. This is the next step, okay? This is the next step here is deciding whether or not to give feedback to the avoidantly attached partner. Here's what I want you to realize. This is so key. Giving feedback is more about you than it is about them. It's about you teaching your body, teaching your nervous system that you trust yourself enough to speak your truth, to take up space, and to give the feedback that needs to be given. Every time you share what you've been experiencing and how somebody has impacted you in the relationship, every time you do that, you are improving your self trust. Your brain, your nervous system is realizing, oh, I can trust myself to share how I'm feeling, to ask for what I need, to give feedback in a relationship when it matters. So the feedback is so much more about what it does for you and your healing journey than getting that person to change. Okay. The way that we should give feedback is realizing, okay, I need to express this. I need to get this off my chest. And I'm going to go in with no expectations. I have no idea how this person will respond. Maybe they take it in. Maybe they take accountability. Maybe They gaslight me and they tell me that that's not happening, and they completely invalidate my emotional experience, right? So we have to go into those conversations with no expectation and look at them as data gathering. Trust me, you do not want to be in a long-term relationship with someone who cannot take feedback. That's not the kind of partnership you want, right? It has to be, okay, I'm sharing with you how I feel. I'm sharing with you how what you did impacted me. And the person has to care about that, right? In the secure relationship, they care about the feedback you're giving them and they want to implement it. They want to implement it. They want to do things differently so that you can feel secure in the relationship. So, having these conversations is a great data gathering tool when we're dating. So, as you're going through this process, this whole, okay, I'm dating somebody with an avoidant attachment style. What do I do? I want you to feel empowered. I hope this guide here, this step by step, is helping you feel empowered. This entire time, you need to be asking yourself as you're going through these steps, but how do I feel? You're tuning into you. You're constantly moving yourself back to secure attachment, checking in with what you need, and then you're being very curious. How do I feel in the presence of this person? Are my needs being met? If nothing changed, would I commit to this person for life? You're asking those really challenging questions and you're paying close attention to what your answers are. Remember, we're not falling in love with potential anymore. That is over. We are not falling in love with potential. We are falling in love with the data. We're falling in love with the evidence that we have. Okay. And the final step, you've been gathering the data, you spoke up for yourself after you decided was it worth it or not. Obviously, if it wasn't worth it to give feedback, then you ended the relationship because you can't be in a relationship that you can't give feedback in. I say this with so much love because I stayed in relationships where I couldn't speak my truth. I know what that's like. And I know if you're in that place, you're telling yourself a bunch of lies about, well, if they just go to therapy, well, if they just quit drinking, oh, if they just move ahead in their career. You're telling yourself all these things that it'll get better when they insert whatever. No, if they can't give feedback, it's about their capacity. It's about lack of emotional availability to show up for the relationship. And you can't be waiting for someone to have a good enough situation, to be feeling good enough in their life to be, oh, they're finally going to become emotionally available. You can't be waiting for somebody to become emotionally available. Either they are or they are not. And it is nothing about you. That's what I want you to realize. Someone's lack of capacity, lack of emotional availability, lack of skills to be able to show up and have a healthy relationship that has nothing to do with your worth, that has nothing to do with you. You can be the most wonderful, the most, loving, emotionally available, beautiful partner. And that does not change someone's capacity to love you. Okay. I need you to hear me when I say that. There's nothing that you can do to change someone's capacity. So we have to realize that part of dating somebody with an insecure attachment style, whether it's anxious, avoidant, disorganized, is seeing, do they have the capacity to grow with me? Do they have the capacity to co-create secure attachment with me? Can we do this work together? And if the answer is no, or if the answer is at least not right now with their current circumstances, they don't have that capacity, then we have to do ourselves a favor and also do the thing that is right for them. And we have to end the partnership. We have to walk away because ultimately, if they're not able to show up for the relationship, that's also painful to them. They don't want to feel like they're failing over and over again. A lot of you have stayed with people who deep down they know they're failing you over and over and over again. And it's causing them to feel a ton of regret and shame and guilt. And guess what's happening? They're getting more and more and more closed off, more and more closed off every time they fail in the relationship. And when I say fail, I don't mean, as if they're bad. I don't look at somebody with avoidant attachment as failing. I look at lack of capacity. I look at survival. I look at coping, right? They're doing the best that they can, but they haven't done enough healing to where their best meets the requirements of a healthy, secure adult relationship. And once again, that has nothing to do with you. And it's not even that person's fault, right? It's their attachment system, it's what they learned to do. And you are highly intelligent, you're somebody who's on a healing journey. So I know you know that. And that's how you rationalize staying. But I want to give you this hard truth. Just because you understand it and you know why they're showing up with lack of capacity, kudos to you. You're incredibly smart. You listen to this show. You understand attachment styles. You know about relational trauma. So you understand why they're showing up with no capacity. That is not enough to stay. Just because we understand it does not mean that we should accept it. Okay, that's the hard truth. You got to hear me on that. Just because you understand it does not mean that you should accept it. So I hope this episode really kind of held your hand through what to do when somebody has avoidant attachment. I know, man, when you're in that position, it can feel so lonely. It can feel so hard. And you can just be like banging your head against the wall, hoping that that person's going to change. But I hope that this episode was a wake up call. Please choose yourself. And obviously, if you want to break these patterns, if you do want to start attracting emotionally available people and you want to be that emotionally available person who can intentionally build a healthy, adult, secure, reciprocal relationship, if that's you, go apply to the Empowered, Secure, Loved program. We have really limited spots this month. This is an incredible time to join. We are giving you a bonus month, and you are also getting a ton of awesome bonuses. And please remember that inside the program, you're getting one-on-one support. So you have one-on-one coaching and you have coaching with me every single week as well. So this is accountability, support, a proven framework. You have no excuses. Go apply now. We are building the foundation for the kind of relationship that you get to have in 2026. Do you want 2026 to be the year that you finally break free from unhealthy dating patterns and you get in a healthy, loving relationship? Or do you want it to be the year where you just keep repeating the same stuff over and over and over again, going through more and more breakups and simply piling on to the existing relational trauma that you already have? I know what I would want, right? I would want to break the cycle. So I'm inviting you to do that. Go apply to the program using the link in the show notes. I'm sending you all so much love. I'm so grateful for this community. Stay tuned for Friday's episode with a special guest. And then Monday's Love is Blind recap. I cannot wait to share it with you. We have so much to talk about. All right. I am wishing you high self worth and great relationships. I'll talk to you soon.